Michael, I guess we've come a long way with Amazon from them just selling books online. I am curious, though, as to how we arrived at this space where we're now talking about them potentially being a wireless service provider.
You know, I've got two great books to recommend, both written by your colleague Brad Stone. The Everything Store, and I forgot the name of the second one, but I own it. It tells you everything you need to know about Amazon. They've gone through a transformation of truly trying to be in our lives every minute of every day. And I think that adding cell service is similar to Google remembering your credit card numbers when you're, filling out a form or buying something online. They're just trying to make the Amazon Prime service as sticky as possible and make it as hard as possible to quit. So I think that they've reckoned that if you sign up for cell service with them, you're just never going to not be a Prime member, and they're going to make it valuable enough to keep people, I think.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. And by the way, you mentioned Brad Stone. We should just give him a nice little plug. Amazon Unbound, Michael. That was the latest book
Yes.
to follow up. And at the rate Amazon's going, he'll have to write a third book maybe within the next 5 or 10 years. I am curious, though, about the cost proposition for Amazon. How does this fit within the overall strategy with how they spend? And I guess more importantly, and forgive me if I get this wrong, they do seem to be willing to sacrifice profitability on some of these projects, at least in the shorter term.
Cell service has gotten super cheap, as you know, and you're barely old enough to remember when it was super expensive. But prior to 2000, I was paying $150 a month for one line, and for probably 60 minutes a month. And I paid extra for long distance and voicemail. Now, I have 4 phones for $150, unlimited everything. So the service has gotten super cheap. The way the law changed with making numbers portable, I think that was 2002. They require carriers to lease their lines, lease their towers to anybody. So we've seen pop-ups like Mint Mobile and like Consumer Cellular. Those are real companies. I think Mint was bought by Sprint, but they're real companies that were just resellers. So Amazon's watched Consumer Cellular do this. It's an independent company, but they market through Target and Walmart. And I think Amazon saw the success because the Target Walmart customer, those guys are not Amazon customers. So I think Amazon wants to compete with that last man standing, let's call it old gray-haired guys. I am an Amazon customer, but who haven't figured out the internet yet. And if they can hook them through a cheaper cell phone service, that's really valuable. So I expect they will subsidize it, not to the tune of free, but probably to the tune of $10 a month. And if you're a value conscious customer, that's a pretty good deal. So your $40 service becomes 30. I think they can pull that off.
Do you anticipate, let's say they do, that this does become, and we should point out this is just based on Bloomberg reporting, based on sources that they've spoken to. I am curious as to whether we maybe start to expect Amazon actually start to inch up the price of its Prime subscribership.
They will if they have to. And throughout the pandemic, shipping costs started to go up. Gas prices went up, as we came out of shelter in place. And they didn't do anything with it. So I think that they've probably kind of gotten things in balance right now. I don't expect a price increase for 2 or 3 more years. And even then, maybe $20 a year. But the value is so great that I don't think most consumers really care. I think that we're getting tremendous value. They will, if they start losing customers, they'll keep price low. And if they start growing and continue to grow, they'll raise price. So it's price elasticity. Let's see what demand is.
I am curious about when you look at the strategy on this particular thing, but overall, I guess, since Andy Jassy actually assumed the CEO role here, do you think that this kind of fits within the same ethos of what Bezos would have done had he still been there?
I think Jassy is the Bob Chapek of Amazon. So
is that a compliment or?
It is not.
Okay.
I think he's doing exactly what his predecessor told him to do, and he's not doing it as well. And I expect that when Bezos is back from his honeymoon, Jassy's got a real risk of being gone and Bezos stepping back in. I don't think Jassy's good at anything other than AWS. So I think he's really botching it badly. I think they're doing a lot of stupid things, like requiring people to come back to the office. Wedbush hasn't required me to come back to the office, obviously.
Yeah.
So no, I think that the Bezos strategy, though, was go after big markets. So they went after grocery. It's $800 billion a year in the U.S. They went after pharma at $600 billion. Right. Cell service is bigger. So the opportunity to cell service is global. There's 5 billion cell phones out there. So if that's a way to hook a customer, I think that's really smart. And maybe it'll keep Jassy's job. Boy, if he
Yeah.
continues to push retail stores, he's gone.